to the Experience Darden podcast. I'm your host, Brett Twitty, and you are listening to a new episode. On this episode of the podcast, I'm excited to share my recent conversation with Sebastian Nabatoff. Sebastian is a first-year student in our full-time MBA class of 2024, and he is also the section rep for Section B. In this conversation, Sebastian shares more about his background, how he decided to pursue an MBA, what led him to Darden, how he decided to serve as a section rep, a few things you should know about Section B, and so much more. I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. So without further ado, here is my interview with Sebastian Nabatoff. Sebastian, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Brett, for having me.
Well, it's great to have you here. Happy spring break. You're still in the midst of spring break. A few more days here before quarter four starts off. How are things going? Are you enjoying the time off?
Things are going well. I've very much enjoyed some time off after an entire core experience at Darden. So it's been nice to recharge a little bit, spend time with friends, and think forward to Q4 and just getting ready for that.
All right. Well, so appreciate your coming on the show, sharing your story with our listeners. Let's start with the first question. Tell us more about you. Who are you and what's your background?
Absolutely. So my name is Sebastian Nabatoff, and I'm a first year here at Darden and a proud member of Section B. And prior to Darden, I was working at Bain & Company for 3 years in the Atlanta office and had the opportunity to work on a variety of different projects for a variety of different companies and had a tremendous experience down there. And as part of my 3 years, I also had a chance to work for Peloton, the connected fitness device company, and you work for them as part of their strategy team, which was a tremendous experience and allowed me to take what I've learned in consulting and apply it in kind of an organization as a member of that organization. So that was really tremendous. And, it really led me to Darden because it showed me how much I've learned, but also how much I still have yet to learn. And that's why I'm at the business school.
So I'm curious about your time at Peloton. What years were you there?
So this was at the beginning of 2022 until the June of 2022. So right about the time that there was a change in CEO and the stock price had declined. And so it was really interesting to be a part of an organization that's going through a tremendous amount of change and to see how the new CEO stepped in and set a vision for the team and, how the team bought in and bought into a new vision. So it was cool to be a part of that change as well.
Yeah, just think about that company had all that growth during the pandemic, people buying all these bikes. Of course, you had shortages, long wait times for bikes. And I mean, it was just a company that seemed to really explode during the pandemic period. And it's hard to sustain that level of success for that long.
Exactly.
All right. So you come to Darden. Talk to us a little bit more about your interest in pursuing an MBA. Is it something you always knew you wanted to do? Was it a newer idea for you?
So it's always been in the back of my mind. My mom got her MBA, and I saw how that really transformed her career and her career over a long period of time. And so it's always been in the back of my head. I think one of the main reasons that I thought about pursuing my MBA is because, like I said earlier, I realized how much I had to learn. Bain does a tremendous job of teaching you how to be part of a really high-performing team, teaching you how to become an expert on a subject really quickly, and exposing you to a lot of different companies and a lot of the challenges that they face. And so I really loved that, but I realized that, it's often very specific, the project that you're working on. And I realized that in order to really better understand all the different challenges and opportunities that my clients were going through, that I needed to kind of get that business school degree or stay at Bain for a long period of time. And so my thought process was come to business school, really round out my understanding in a variety of different fields, whether that's macroeconomics, whether it's operations, whether it's leading organizations, and really turbocharge my personal growth and development. And I've absolutely found that to be the case. I also think it was helpful. The second reason I came or pursued an MBA is it's time to reflect on the past 3 years of my career and think about what I want to do moving forward. And so Bain was a very fast-paced environment, and that contributes to a lot of learning. But it also, I wanted to kind of slow down and assess, what have I learned? What do I still want to kind of focus on moving forward, and where that might be, whether it's starting my own company or exploring marketing or doing an assessment on where I am and where I want to go, and make sure that I'm headed in the right direction, which I've also found the opportunity to do here at Darden.
So Sebastian, I certainly hear you on the opportunity to kind of think about where you are and explore and kind of think about potential next steps, and having the space to do that. It's nice to have a couple years in the residential full-time MBA program to engage in those kind of questions and self-reflection. What specifically about Darden appealed to you and resonated with you?
So I remember that I was having a conversation with a student 1 year ahead of me about Darden and what made it special. And one line really stuck out to me. And they said that Darden is a living learning community that's really focused on academics, but also the community around you. And that's exactly what I was looking for in terms of an MBA. I wanted a rigorous academic experience because, as I've mentioned a couple of times so far, I really wanted to learn. I really wanted to grow. And I didn't want to take a 2-year vacation, if you will, but really just focus on rounding out my business acumen and understanding and exploring new opportunities. So it was that the commitment to academics. And then the second piece would just be a community of people that are down to earth, kind, passionate about what they're doing, and just people that you want to spend time with and that want to spend time with you. And I found both to be the case at Darden, more so than I think I ever could have imagined.
Are you someone who's always enjoyed school?
I have.
Nice. Where did you do your undergraduate?
I went to UNC Chapel Hill and had a tremendous experience there. It's led to a little bit of a house divided internally in terms of UNC versus UVA. That's all I'll say about that. But I studied business and peace, war, and defense while I was at UNC.
All right. So you come to Darden, and you're a brand new first year student. What was the process of adjusting to the core curriculum and being at Darden like in those first couple quarters?
It was a process. I think that's a perfect word for it. Darden is incredibly fast-paced, and it moves very, very quickly. And that's amazing in the sense that you learn a lot in a very short period of time. But it also means that the train sort of leaves the station very quickly. And oftentimes it feels like you've got a lot going on. And so the first 3 quarters at Darden have really been a process of trying to find the right balance between academics, recruiting, physical health, working out, and making sure that I'm making home cooked meals that are good as well. So it's been a balance, but there's a lot of support at Darden in terms of your learning team. The professors really get to know you by name and are invested in you and your development, and are ready to help you in any way you can. And as I mentioned before, the community around you, whether that's your section or your personal kind of network of friends, has been incredible as well.
Have you enjoyed having the core curriculum? You mentioned the first 3 quarters, which of course is when you have the core before you move into electives in quarter 4 in the full-time program. Have you enjoyed the core?
I've loved the core. I think it's one of the best parts of Darden. And I think oftentimes, I said earlier that I came to Darden because I wanted to learn more. And I think oftentimes you don't know what you don't know. And so the core does a great job of kind of putting you in classes that you may or may not have selected yourself, but they, at the end of each of those classes, I've reflected back on them and said, I've loved how we've learned macroeconomics. Now I feel like I can read the Wall Street Journal and read about interest rate hikes and understand what's going on and why it's happening and what the potential implications of that are. So I wouldn't have necessarily self-selected into a macroeconomics course before Darden, but having had that class and having engaged in the topic in a way that I hadn't really had before, whether that was in undergrad or any other kind of environment, has been tremendous. And I think one of the best parts about the Darden experience.
Did you have much experience with the case method before you came to Darden?
No experience at all. But that has been one of the best parts of Darden as well. And the way I kind of describe the case method is it requires you to have a conversation. And in order to have a conversation with your peers, you really need to understand the material in a much more intuitive and in-depth way. And so that requires you not only learning the material, but learning it in a way that it really sticks, where you can leave a class, and look back a couple of months later and still remember what you were learning on, rather than sort of learning for a test and then as soon as you take the test, forgetting it. And so I've found the case method to be fun, energizing, keeps me on my toes, and also really effective in terms of making sure that we learn what we're actually talking about.
Yeah, it's been interesting to talk with students about their experience learning in the case method. I think what some of the students have told me, at least from our executive MBA program, I'm not sure if this resonates, but what they'll say is because you do so much preparation for class, right? You read it, the case individually, typically meeting with a learning team, going to class, you're having a whole discussion, like the material is a lot stickier. And so when it comes time to prepare for exams, you may actually feel like you have a pretty good handle on things. You may not have to do as much studying as you perhaps had to do at other educational junctures in your life where you're cramming and all these kinds of things for exams. At least some people have that experience.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I've still had to study for exams. I'm not one of those people who can just sort of sit in class, take no notes, and still just crush it on the final. But when you understand something intuitively and you also have the reps of sort of over and over again applying the concepts that you're learning in class and building on those concepts each class as well, then it does make it a whole lot easier to study for the exam and take the exam. And you realize just how much you've learned as well.
And you mentioned first year, this first 3 quarters in particular, figuring out how to balance, how to do school and recruiting and social commitments and wellness and all of this stuff together. One of the things that you've also added to your plate in the midst of all of this is you are a section rep for Section B. And I wonder, how did you decide that you wanted to take on a leadership role to be section rep?
Yeah, so it's a great question. And I think what it comes down to is there were 2 things that brought me to Darden. And one was the learning, and the second part was the community. And I saw the section rep role as a really unique role in the sense that I would help get to be a part of creating that environment and that sense of community and facilitating that. And I have loved the experience because Section B, everyone in it is just an incredible person to be around, and they make the day-to-day aspects of being in class fun, engaging, interesting. And I've had a tremendous leadership team as well that have just been really passionate about creating that community as well. And so, it was that sense of community that encouraged me to do the role, and it absolutely lived up to it as well.
Well, tell us more about Section B. People ask you about Section B. What do you tell them?
Yeah, I say, I've said in the past, conversation that a lot of things have been, really great aspects of Darden, but I think the section experience has by far been the best, in the sense that you're taking all of your classes with the same 70 people for the first 3/4 of your time at Darden. And I've just loved getting to know all the members of my section and creating that experience together. I think a couple of things stand out to me about the section. One is we're probably each other's biggest fans. So every time there's a cold call, we just erupt in applause and we cheer our classmates on before they have to share their answer or share their perspective on things. And that really just brightens the mood and, just creates a really fun environment. I think the second thing is that we love to have fun in the class and outside of it. So we look for ways to joke. We might pull pranks on the professors. We might joke with each other during class. But humor and laughter, I think, are some of the best ways to create a really great learning environment. And then, we have fun outside of the classroom as well, in terms of our social reps have done a tremendous job of making sure that we're staying connected and having fun outside of the classroom. And so I think we're each other's biggest fans. We love our section, and we look for ways to have fun. But we're also really committed to having a great learning experience as well.
Do you have a favorite norm or something that you do? You mentioned the cheering. I wonder if there's something else that you'd want to share with our listeners. It's been fun talking with the section reps about each section. You can tell each section kind of has a real sense of pride, and I think each section probably thinks they're the best section here at Darden, which I love too. But is there a favorite norm that you have within your section?
Yeah, there's so many. And I'll share a few if that's okay. One is we've got a 30-year-old stuffed Big Bird that has been in the section for decades. And every Thursday we pass the bird on to someone else in the section who has really, just gone above and beyond, whether that's creating something for the section or doing a really great job in a particular cold call or something else. And so that's really fun because it's a great way to recognize the classmates around us. I think another fun norm that we started this year is Section B Bakes, which is where every Monday we bring in baked goods. And so we all sort of Venmo'd our treasurer to create a baking fund, and then people will volunteer to bake goods and bring them in each Monday. And it's just and then they get reimbursed by our treasurer. And it's just a really fun and pardon the pun, sweet way to start the week off. So those are only two, but I would say that Section B stands for Section Best. So we by far are the best, but everyone else will disagree with that.
I love that. Highlights from the baked goods on Monday. Anything stand out for you?
So we have one section mate. His name's Chuma, and he bakes some pretty incredible cakes. So he brought in a number of those throughout the year, and we are all better off because of it. So that's definitely one highlight.
It's amazing. Where my brain went was like, oh, maybe some cookies, brownies. You have a section mate making cakes for everybody.
That's right. And they're beautiful cakes too. So he's very talented.
All right. Well, the people who may have picked up on this, Section B are known as the Birds here at Darden. It's your mascot, correct?
That's right.
Well, how are things going in Darden Cup? We've asked a little bit about Darden Cup in some of these conversations. Not everybody's having the season that they had hoped to have, I think is what I've picked up. But I wonder how things are going for Section B.
That's a good question, Brett. And we are fifth out of five sections, but I think we are number one in people's hearts. So that's sort of how we're approaching the season. I think at the end of the day, we haven't maybe had the Darden Cup season that we've wanted to, but it's been a lot of fun. And I think that's what we're focused on, is coming together as a section, having fun together, and being number one in people's hearts. So I think we've achieved that.
Do you feel like Darden Cup has added to your section experience? Has it been a nice thing to also do? In addition to learning about all these great things, you also have this recreational outlet.
Absolutely. It's a great way for people to showcase different talents that they have. So in class, you might know someone is great at shifting econ curves, but then they, blow you away on the basketball court as well. And it's just fun to be able to see that. And I also think it puts the section in unique environments where you have to collaborate with each other in a different way. And so you just get to know each other on a much deeper level, and have a lot of fun together in the process. So it absolutely has created a stronger community, and it's fun to compete with the other sections, and leads to some fun rivalries as well.
Any other activities from your section that you would want to highlight? I love the baked goods story. The Big Bird tradition sounds like a lot of fun. But anything that y'all have done as a section this year that you would want to highlight or spotlight here?
Yeah. So one of our social reps, Alex, has done a great job of decorating the classroom at different periods of time. And so she decorated the classroom around the holidays, and then again around Valentine's Day, and then for the last few weeks of class, a tropical theme with a lot of birds. And that was really fun because it just brightens everyone's day every time they walk into the classroom, and just makes it a really fun environment to be in. And that was something that she really pioneered this year, and I hope continues to be a tradition, because it just brings a lot of smiles to people's faces.
Well, what our listeners should know is that each section has their own classroom. And so and the faculty come to the students, right? The students really kind of own the space, but the faculty come to teach class. And so that space, yes, you could customize it, you could decorate it, you could do all of these kinds of things, because it's your space as a section.
Exactly.
Well, Sebastian, I'm wondering, what are you looking forward to in the coming months? We're recording this here in March. We've got maybe another quarter or so, and then summer. What's on your horizon?
I'm excited for electives. It's going to be fun to, I've mentioned how much I've enjoyed the core, but it's going to be fun to have a chance to select my own classes and kind of chart my own journey. So I'm really excited about that. I'm also excited about being in classes with new people. So I love my section dearly, and I'm going to miss them, but it's going to be fun to be in classes with people from across all sections and get to know people across the Darden community. So I think those are the two main things. It's just getting to pick some really, really cool classes, and then being in class with a bunch of new people as well.
Nice. Yeah. Quarter four, you get to pick your classes as noted. So 3/4 of the first year are core curriculum, followed by quarter four, which are electives. Is there maybe one elective that you're taking that you're really, it's hard to recognize, like you're probably excited about all of them, but is there one in particular that when you put your bid points out there and you said, this elective, I got to make sure I'm in this elective, was there one that fit that description?
Yeah, the one that I'm extra excited about is evaluations class. And it really builds on the core classes that we've had in finance over the past 3 quarters. And I'm just excited to really build on that understanding and that knowledge, and continue to apply what I've learned. Because I wouldn't have necessarily told you that I was super passionate about valuations before coming to Darden, but it's one of those areas where I think it's super important to know about. And I've also loved how the Darden faculty has taught it. And I'm excited to continue to dig in there.
Well, Sebastian, last question for you here. Wonder if there's any advice you would share with our prospective students listening to this podcast, something you would encourage them to think about as they go forth on their own MBA journeys.
Absolutely. One of the things that I would really encourage prospective students to think about, especially before they start their MBA journey, is to think about what they really want to get out of their time, and sort of create a plan for how to go do that. Because the MBA experience moves really quickly. And I think if you sort of have an idea of what you really want to get out of it and a plan for how you're going to go do that, it can help you sort of make the most out of every single moment. And that's not to say that you shouldn't be open to new opportunities or change that. I think it's a plan that should always be reassessed. And you should absolutely be open to new opportunities, because that's part of the magic of being at Darden. But I think being intentional and sort of laying out a plan and moving towards that can always help make sure that you're making the most of it.
Yeah, that's great advice. Things move very, very quickly once you get to Darden. There's a lot happening on all fronts, seemingly career front included. And so doing that self-reflection, if you can take advantage of some of the materials that come out during the summer, we have a pre-matriculation course called CDY that's out there to help students begin to engage with these kinds of questions. Maybe you've already started talking with some classmates, maybe some second-year students about what they've done. Getting that feedback going can be really useful, particularly when things get busy. And to your point, there will be self-discovery along the way. You'll take a class and you may not have ever known anything about this subject, but next thing you know, you really enjoyed it, and maybe that shifts direction a little bit. That happens too. So, well, Sebastian, it's been great talking with you. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your spring break for this conversation, and best of luck in Q4 as you move into electives.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brett, for having me.
And that was my conversation with Sebastian Nabatoff, a first-year student in our full-time MBA class of 2024 and the section rep for Section B. As always, if you have any comments, suggestions, requests, anything you'd like for us to cover here on the podcast, we're all ears. Can be reached at Darden, that's DARDEN, at virginia.edu. Until next time, stay safe, be well, and thanks for listening.